Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Quick-Comm Playbook session that we're co-hosting with GobbleCube. We have Manas and Shri, founders of GobbleCube, with us. To just I know we have a lot of folks joining from outside our portfolio as well, so it'll be useful to give some context and and background to how we got here. DSG as our founders know, and most of you know, we probably have the largest packaged food portfolio in the country. So that put us in a very advantageous position to really spot the potential of the qcomm channel when it started. Before qcomm happened, packaged food was largely an offline play, and it required a patient investor to back people. And we probably were the only fund that was excited about the offline channel at that point. And QuickComm happened, and suddenly we saw our brands literally take off. So this was sometime in 2023. And that's when we realized that we should be spending a lot of time with the QCOM leadership. And as our portfolio founders know, we've run workshops with the leadership teams at all QCOM channels through 2023 and even 2024. And that was extremely productive. Fast forward a year, there are multiple brands that do hundreds of crores in just QCOM in the portfolio. And this was a channel that didn't exist a couple of years back. So that should give you a sense of the potential of the channel. We also have incumbents doing quite well in the channel. Britannia, if I recall, said they expect 8% of their revenues to be on QCOM, in the coming years. So that's how disruptive this channel has been. And, the DSG team has been working very closely with our founders to refine the QCOM playbook. We've learned a lot from them in the process as well. And, the way we connected was GobbleCube was also interesting. It was one of our founders who recommended that we speak to GobbleCube, given the work and heavy lifting we were doing in QCOM. And Manashri and the GobbleCube team have been extremely supportive in helping us come up with the playbook. The idea was to make it as tactical and actionable as it can be. That's why it took longer than we initially planned. But we are super excited about the final output and what we have here to present to all of you. Thank you, Manas, Shri, for all the efforts. And I should thank the DSG team as well, Urmit, Pooja, and everyone else, and our founders that helped us refine and were gracious with their time and data in helping us develop this playbook. So with that, I'll hand it over to Manas and Shri.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hari, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out from your busy schedules. What we'll do is we'll just start with like a little bit of background about GobbleCube as well, how we kind of started like interacting and how it kind of got us to this, and then we'll get into the playbook straight away. So GobbleCube like was started by Shri, me, and Nitesh, three of us. We worked together for almost a decade, the first 7 years being together as part of the core leadership team at Blinkit. But while we were there, in the next 3 years building GobbleCube, but while we were there and we saw that entire transition from the growers to the Blinkit era, right? One of the things that we saw most closely was how strong the product market fit was, right? How strong the customer pull was. So while there was all this narrative 2 years back as to why people would need things in 10 minutes, kind of never distracted us because we kind of saw that firsthand, right? When you see your M1 customer retention metrics jump from a 25-30% to a 70%, right? You know there is a pull to the product and it's just about scaling that. But one of the things that we also saw very closely was the fact that while everybody over-indexed on looking at how the shopper behavior is shaping, how does this manifest from a brand point of view was something which kind of interested us, right? And that kind of drove us because For us, the way quick commerce is, right, it's making the problem more and more distributed, more and more hyperlocal, right? Which means the number of shopper touch points are increasing. And that means that fundamentally, as a brand, you're looking at so many variables in real time, right? So what you're looking at is a big data problem. It is not just some small Excel spreadsheets with VLOOKUPs and pivot tables, right? And that's what kind of drove us to build GobbleCube. We work like over the last 1 year, we are working with like 200 plus brands. So we kept listening to them. We kept hearing those problems, and that kind of kept evolving our understanding, and that's how the product also evolved, right? But as part of that, right, we also like as Hari was mentioning, Smith was gracious enough to introduce us to Urmit and the DSG team, and we struck up a conversation. And we realized that there is so much to learn, right? When we speak with founders like yourself who have been in the trenches solving these problems, there are so many different nuances and understandings that come out that it just kind of snowballed as a conversation. And we realized that it is a gross injustice if we don't kind of put these thoughts together and to share it to the wider ecosystem, right? Now, I would first of all want to thank all the contributors to this playbook, right? Because each and every one of them I know is super busy, but they took out time. I remember the Saturday mornings and the Sunday mornings when we would sit down, have those conversations, record them, and kind of like assimilate those thoughts, right? But those were all mind blowing conversations. So, thank you everyone for taking the time out and contributing to this playbook, right? Now let's start with some of the very basics, right, to set the context, and then we can kind of get more detailed, right? The most obvious elephant in the room, the qcomm takeover, right? This is no longer optional because what we've seen is a tremendous growth of these channels, right? It is also why the behemoths of e-commerce are saying that they want to move into quick commerce, and they've started doing that already, right? But it is not just about faster delivery, right? In a way, if you think about it, it is actually reshaping consumer behavior because they're becoming more instantaneous in terms of their shopping experiences, right? And that is kind of becoming the base case, right? Like Bezos, the three pillars of retail as per the Bezos newsletter, right? Which is faster, cheaper, and more variety. I think this kind of fundamentally addresses the faster chapter, right? Because the faster definition is not one day, it is immediate. There's also a clear gulf that is emerging between the brands who mastered this and who haven't, right? And it's not just about having a superior product, but it is also mastering what needs to you need to do to win in quick commerce, which is about mastering availability, visibility, and operations, right? All those aspects put together, and those are the aspects that we've kind of covered in this particular playbook, right? So, what do you need to do, right? Well, the first aspect, and these are basically the three pillars of the playbook. The first of foremost is operations and availability, because a lot of times as brands, right, we tend to think about demand generation, right? But a more important precursor to demand generation is actually demand fulfillment, because the moment you're thinking distributed networks, the moment you're thinking hyperlocal stores, right? If you're not there, how will you sell, right? जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, right? So how do you ensure the continuous availability of your right SKUs in the right places? And what needs to get done is what we will cover in this section. The next is then demand generation, which is a lot about marketing and visibility. And like as brands, most of you will vouch for the fact that 20 to 30%, if not more, of the revenue is going into performance marketing today across these multiple platforms, right? So plugging leakages and capitalizing on opportunities is super critical. And of course, last but not the least, what you're dealing with are humans, right? These are not just pure algorithms, right? So how do you build the right team structures, and how do you create the right sort of account management to actually manage across all these platforms, across all these cities, right? That's a super critical aspect, right? And a lot of that is nuanced in terms of what stage of growth you're in. So we were lucky enough to get those multiple viewpoints of how the team structures should look like across different stages of an organization. And these are all points that we will cover in this particular playbook. So one last thing, while a lot of the things that we've talked about is what we will cover in the playbook, let's also be very clear about what this playbook is actually not. Well, first of all, this is not static, right? Because Q-commerce is fundamentally dynamic in nature, right? You guys can vouch for yourself. The capabilities that exist on the platforms today didn't exist 2 months back. So it is an ever evolving system, right? And that's the beauty of it. We're living in an age where seeing something evolve, which defines the future of retail, if you ask us. And that's why this needs to also evolve, and we will continuously do that. The second is this is not prescriptive, because as we were talking about, whether you're a challenger brand or a market leader, whether what stage of growth you're in, which category you're in, will define the frameworks which will fit best for you. So this is not prescriptive. This is a collection of those potential frameworks, right? But putting your specific context to choose the right frameworks is extremely critical to this. With that context, I'll hand it over to Shri to kind of go through those sections.
Hi everyone. So we'll start with operations and availability. There's a reason why we start with this. This is the most important aspect, right? Simple as that. Uh, so I think this is the most interesting part, what quick commerce has done, right? Now convenience supersedes everything else, right? It doesn't matter what brand loyalty you have. If you're not available at the time a consumer wants to buy the product, you're not selling, your competition is selling, right? So you need to be available, right? But what's the other aspect? The other aspect of quick commerce is you need to be available at a locality level. It is no longer the Amazon world where you can be available at one warehouse and the entire city gets covered, right? You have to be available for each locality. And we just wanted to give you an example here. Like, locality is not even pin code, right? One pin code can have multiple localities. So it has to be looked at a dark store level. What is the experience you're creating for your consumer, right? Now, just getting into the details of QCOM, right? What is the scale of QCommerce that we're talking about right now? So, of course, there are 5 platforms. Everybody's aware of that. Most of the top 3 platforms are almost exceed almost 1,000 stores. Blinkit's almost touching 1,500 dark stores, right? Of course, we've also tried to put the pin code numbers there. Now what's interesting, it might look like for every 3 dark stores there are 2 pin codes, right? It's the ratio of 1.5. But in reality, what happens is the most high density pin codes have almost 4 to 5 dark stores. So the top 20% high density pin codes will have 4 to 5. The remainders might be a 1:1 mapping. So, and you really want to be present at the high density locations, right? So monitoring things at a pin code just don't work. You have to go at a locality level or a dark store level to understand what is the experience you're creating for your consumer, right? So, and then these are things we also figured out while we were working with our brands. Like, what are the metrics you should monitor to be able to be on top of availability, right? The things like we started first figuring out. First thing you need to understand is how many dark stores are you really listed in, right? Listed is like, at least like there is an agreement or the platform wants to keep you live at that dark store, right? Then the next thing is, okay, if I'm listed, what is the availability I'm able to ensure for that locality, right? Uh, and in quick commerce, and we'll come to this later, like, all localities are not important, right? Are not equally important for a category. So it really becomes critical to understand for the category that I am in, what is the score or the relevance for a locality. You need to be present where it matters the most, right? um, and it is a competitive space, so you really need to benchmark yourself to competition, right? You need to understand, and lastly but not the least, you also need to understand, like, what is available. You need to look at availability from a slightly long-term perspective. Like, things you need to really understand, if it's a temporary problem, is it a long-term problem? That's when you'll really be able to come out with a fix, right? So these are the things that we thought you should be able to you should be looking at to understand where do you stand when it comes to availability. uh, and and this is an interesting thing which platforms have now started doing, right? They realize that dark stores fundamentally in high density areas will mean there'll be space constraint. So they came up with the concept of mega dark store, which is, uh, if I could have one store serving, let's say, 9 or 10 localities, but with a slightly higher promise time, what that will mean is that I will be able to I should be able to solve the listing problems, the availability problems, and even reduce the working capital risk that brands need to sit on. So I think this is a fantastic initiative for them, for platforms to be offer a slightly wider assortment, right? Eases listing for brands, reduces the working capital exposure that they have, right? But there is, of course, it comes with the con of the fact there's a con associated with it. The delivery time tends to be 20 to 30 minutes instead of the standard 10 minutes, right? So, but I do think, like, for your uh, for SKUs which are not of high throughput, this is a great way of ensuring that you're visible to your customers, right? Without having to take the inventory risk of having your SKUs kept at each single dark store, right? Now, how do you solve for availability, right? You've monitored availability, you understand what your availability is, what competition's availability is, but how do you solve for that? And it's fairly simple. It's just about asking these important questions, getting deeper into on that too on a daily basis. Understand, okay, why is my availability low? Is my availability low because I'm not listed? Is it because I'm listed? I have inventory at the back end, it's not getting transferred. If I don't have sufficient inventory at the back end, is it a PO problem? Or was it a fill rate problem from my end that we could not serve the PO, right? Or is it PO quantity problem? It's just the ability to go deeper into these questions and get answers. And once you have that answer, act on it fast, right? Uh, Here, I would like to bring Pankaj from Farmly, who has been, I think, like I've been in awe of how he has looked at availability, right? The depth that he goes into to be able to solve for this problem. I would really like to hear it from him, how he has tackled this issue.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. So hi, my name is Pankaj. I'm basically part of the core team in Family, and I take care of the e-commerce and quick commerce platforms along with the strategy and growth piece here. Uh, as Shri has rightly mentioned, so availability is the basically one of the most important metrics while building the quick commerce basically channel. So while building the quick commerce, so basically three pillars generally comes into the play. One is like your availability, another one is your discoverability, and third is your conversion. So most of the time, brands generally focus mainly on the discoverability and conversions, and they forgot to basically ensure the availability of their product. And if your product is not available, then everything will fall basically down. So how you can basically ensure the availability? Earlier, so most of the platform they generally don't share their dark store or master warehouse level inventories with the brand. So either you have, if you are a basically mature brand and leading brand on the platform, then you might get some indexed level data from the platform. But if you have some third party solutions who can help out with the like inventory availability, then probably that is something which you will help. So the similar case was with the family earlier. Like we it was a completely black box for us. We were completely blackout in terms of tracking the availability of our products on across all the platforms. So we basically GobbleCube has came into the picture. We have done the integration with the GobbleCube around 6 7 months back, and GobbleCube has basically helped us solving a lot of basically problems in providing the insights about our like inventory availability. Not only about the inventory availability, in fact, they have solved so many other problems about the competition, product availability, their trends, also our category shares in terms of discoverability. Also, like they helped us providing so much of basically critical insights in availability. What happens generally, what brand make mistake, they sell the inventory to the basically portal and they forget it. They assume if they have built any inventory to the platform, it will be automatically available on the dark stores, but generally that is not the case. What happens, your availability on the front end is probably it comes into the picture when you have a right execution, when you have a data visibility on what product is available on which dark stores. So what we have done is I share you one case study where like we have encountered with the Blinkit. our products was available with the like Blinkit master warehouses, but unfortunately we were not getting the sales. So we were assuming it was because of the conversion that is not happening. We were basically putting all our efforts. But when we drill down the data with the help of GobbleCube, we found like our inventories are lying at the back end. And at the front end, basically this stock was not getting pushed, and our basically DOH was getting high day on day, and it eventually basically it was a completely sale loss for us. So with the help of the GobbleCube, we basically spoken with the category managers with a direct immediate call to action. At this particular warehouse, this particular SKU is getting stuck at the back end level. You need to push the inventory at the front end. You need to ensure the sufficient MBQ so that we can run the campaigns. If product will not be available at the front end level, it won't make sense for me to run any sort of campaigns or putting some aggressive pricing or something like that. So the good thing is when you have so much data with you in your hand, but with a clear insight, you can speak with the category manager with a confidence, because you have all these data. Earlier, when you don't have that data, you generally speak with the category manager and ask them why you're not getting sales at the Bangalore location or Mumbai location or at particular location, and they will give you some random basically answer. Your conversions are not happening or your product isn't moving at all. But when you have this data insights with you, then it becomes quite critical for them. And also from the category point of view, they are handling so many brands, so they generally that they don't have that much of time to drill down at SKU level, at a city level or warehouse level to basically figure out the problem. But when you are basically solving their pain point by telling them the exact basically call to action, it becomes quite easier for them to solve the problem. So availability is something which we have solved in family, and that was one of the critical piece which helped us in growing the brand on across all the platforms. So that was one of the piece. Yeah, of course, apart from the availability, discoverability and conversions are something which we have also basically figured out with the help of GobbleCube. Another fact I want to basically tell, when we were interacting with the category managers, generally at the bottom level, you don't get that much of importance if you are a new brand. DSG helped basically us in providing that basically interaction with the basically top management people, where you can raise or escalate your basically pain points and they can basically address your issues. So in last 6 7 months, so they have organized this workshops with every platform where we could get a chance to interact with the basically category leaders, and we can basically escalate our pain points. And all these pain points, the moment when category leaders generally came to know, and they helped us in solving the problems. So this is something I say kudos to DSG and Global. So both of them basically helped the brand in scaling up our basically this quick commerce channel for us.
Thanks a lot, Pankaj. And as I said, like you're a master at how to manage availability. I've seen that firsthand. I experienced that firsthand. The questions you ask, what even forced us to get deeper into. Thanks a lot for
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Right. So just as Pankaj was saying how he's used GobbleCube, I just wanted to take this open just to show how things show up on our dashboard. Like these are a couple of views that we had, right? There's of course you need to track front end availability. You need to look at what is the availability at the backend store, so you get to know what is the availability at the warehouse, which are the localities where you're stocked out, and of course, like if it is stocked out, you get into the PO details to figure out what is happening at a PO level to figure out where the issue lies. So it's just a view of how things on our dashboard, right? But this is not all, right? There are a lot more things which you'll find in the playbook, right? We've tried to address what should be at a daily, weekly, monthly level, the to-dos, the tasks and strategies. Of course, it is, as I said, these are just frameworks. You'll have to adapt them as per your needs, right? What are a couple of strategies you can use when you have operational challenges, right? And I think the most important thing is how do you communicate and how do you look at issue resolution, especially with platforms, right? How can you be more empathetic in how we talk to them, how we more data driven to be able to help them point them towards where the exact problem is, and that will get them to act faster, right? At the end, they also want to be growing their sales, right? So nothing, right? Fine. So that was availability, right? Now let's come to marketing visibility, where the entire spend bucket lies, and it's the biggest problem most of us are wondering about, right? Uh, Right. So quickly, I'll just start with this everybody's familiar with, right? There is like what are the different kind of assets you have for driving discoverability and visibility for your products, right? There's of course paid search, there's paid display, and of course organic search and browse, right? And everybody wants to be saying that, okay, can I get my organic search and browse sorted so that my growth and my sales is sustainable and my conversion and reach is sorted, right? Which is the best place to be. But for that, you need to be smartly investing on paid search and display, right? Paid display, of course, like helps you create interest for the category, whereas paid search helps you capture intent of a user for a certain search keyword. So I'll not delve deeper into it. I'm sure everybody's aware of this. What I'll go deeper into is paid search, right? Which is what everybody's worried about right now. Like the spends that, how do I get returns for the spends that I'm doing, right? So let's look at a couple of things that quick commerce has changed, right? What quick commerce has done is now I'm purchasing something to consume right now, right? It is no longer that I'll be consuming during the month, but I'll be buying at beginning of the month. It's no longer that's not how shoppers are now behaving, right? So you'll find chocolates get bought during late night when you have those urges, right? Protein bars get bought early in the morning, right after people do their gymming, or evenings when people doesn't. We've seen these trends, right? Which clearly says that now you need to be speaking to the consumer or being visible when he's going to consume it, right? That's become an important factor, right? And this is not just and we have data. We've looked at data to establish this, right? So this is for a food category that we had. What we try to look at is for each time slot, how many brands were running ads, right? And you can see like this 11 a.m. there were almost 6 of them. By 7 p.m. there were only 3 of them left. It is also a time when people consume this thing, right? So you need to be on top of, okay, when do you want to be talking to your consumer? You need to be aware what is the competition intensity there is there. Is there an opportunity you can capture, right? Or are you leaking, or is there a leakage in your strategy which is saying that you're spending at times when it's both competitive and the consumer doesn't want to, is not the time when he really consumes, right? What is the other thing? This I had touched upon earlier, that quick commerce is all about hyperlocal strategies and things vary at a locality level, right? And this is not even city, like for each category, the behavior can be different at a locality level, right? So these are some of the stats that we had. For example, like only like the top 10 localities in Bombay were almost contributing 35% of energy bar sales, right? So it's important to understand like, okay, which locality is important, which city is important for my category, and then have a visibility strategy which tries to target that, right? And that's where I come to like what does visibility strategy on q-commerce entail, right? Of course, you need to have knowledge about localities that you want to target. Of course, what is the keyword SKU combinations that you really want to go after, right? What is the time of the day that you want to go more aggressive? Where do you not want to be focusing on? But I think the underrated thing here is access to real life digital shelf metrics. What do I mean? And that can your performance marketing strategy or visibility strategy include what is your availability at that point in time when you're running an ad? What is competition's availability when you're running an ad? What is what is organically the rank that you come up at a keyword? Like, should you be even spending on an ad? Is it your performance marketing strategy on YouTube, right? And here I would like to introduce Utkarsh Guraf. He has been someone that I have learned a lot from. Like every interaction, in fact, I was building these slides, I was like, Utkarsh, does this make sense? Should we include this? Should we not include this? What do you say? So I let Utkarsh take over from here and like give and help us with what he's learned about how to go about building a hyperlocal strategy for performance marketing.
Hi,
So,
Shri. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think good evening, everyone. So I think people often think quick commerce is about speed, but in my experience, it's more about precision, right? So when your 80% of your business depends on quick commerce, which is the case for us, we cannot afford to spend blindly. Hence, we need to exactly know where to play, how to win, and when to spend as well. Today, I'll share how we sort of, as much as I can share in the limited time I have, how we sort of approached localized marketing end to end and how GobbleCube has sort of helped us out with it as well. So localization is essentially, it is essential because demand, competition, pricing dynamics are different in every city, right? For example, my Sitafal flavor sells strongly in South, but much less in North. And if you run one national plan, you either overspend in low demand cities or underinvest in high potential ones. So we look at localization as a combination of four things, essentially what to sell, how to price it, how to show it, and when to show it. That's what that were the pillars that she was also talking about before this, right? And the first step is essentially deciding where to focus. As I earlier also mentioned that we have limited budget, we cannot afford to spend blindly. So the first step naturally is to deciding where should we actually focus the spends on. For this, we use two benchmarks essentially, and the data that we get from GobbleCube for category share, right? So every category, every city and platform combination, we benchmark them against two metrics to avoid any gut feel decisions. The first benchmark is that comparing the city platform share to our national average. If the share is much lower, it usually means low demand, wrong pricing, or low relevance. In those cases, we start with pilots, say running small awareness campaigns or sampling to see if the problem is in the top funnel. If that doesn't lift any share, we test pricing changes or other SKUs before scaling spends. But the second benchmark is when we compare the same cities across platforms. Like, for example, my share in sticks in Bangalore in Instamart versus my share in sticks in Bangalore on Blinkit, right? If the share is low on one platform but normal on another, it points to a platform specific issue. Like maybe your bidding is weak, or you have low visibility, or there's a lot of out of stock that is happening on that particular platform. And another thing that Shri also mentioned while he was explaining is that we look at trends over time and not just snapshots, because a sudden dip usually signals like some temporary issue like a availability dip or a competition promotion. But the chronic underperformance is a structural problem that we need to solve. And this is how we decide whether to invest budgets or to first solve fundamentals that are there. After this, once we sort of pick our focus areas, we break gaps into two types. One is the visibility gap or the share of voice gap. We start by seeing which competitor holds higher market share on that platform in that city. Then we sort of look at their share of voice data to understand what keywords they're bidding on. By the way, all of this data is available with GobbleCube, right? So they scan all of this amazing, fantastic jobs. So they scan all of these things and it is ready-made available on the dashboard. So we do look at what keywords, what is the competition availability, what is the competition dark store coverage. So these are the essential factors that affect your share of voice or visibility. And the second thing we generally check is the conversion gaps, right? Cases where people do see us but don't buy. Right, typical reasons for this could include that competitors are offering better price per ml, or the images or titles that are that the competitors are using are generally better, or even some fundamental problems like the packs and flavors don't fit with local preferences of that particular city. So yeah, after I think identifying where to spend money, labeling the issue accurately is the starting point. Is it a visibility issue or is it a conversion issue? Once that labeling is clear, once we know where the problem is, then we start delving into the levers that are there for each individual problems. Like for example, visibility gaps, we focus on driving more impressions. We spend more on search ads. We use little broader keywords to expand our reach. Then we talk to the platforms. If availability is leading to less share of voice, then we talk to platforms using the data that Pankaj was also mentioning. Now, since we have data, we are not working in a black box sort of a model. We can show exactly at which locality, which SKU is out of stock at what point in time, right? So since we have this data, we can it's a lot easier conversation to have with the category manager, and then sort of push the SKU or availability up. And for conversion gaps, we essentially tighten keyword targeting, prioritize high intent keywords, do a lot of A/B testing in images and titles. Like I was involved with Urmit as well recently, where we literally A/B tested a lot of listing images. We generated images with the help of AI. We generated images with the help of product photo shoots. We kept a very basic image, and we try to do a lot of A/B testing to understand what a consumer on a quick commerce platform is essentially resonating with, right? And the third thing is, I think timing is very critical. As Steve was also mentioning, what quick commerce has essentially enabled is that consumption is closer to the purchase is actually closer to the consumption that is happening. So, for example, for us, maybe Bangalore order peaks at after 8, but Mumbai often sees stronger afternoons as well. So even the timing as a factor is different. The consumer behavior is different across different cities, and hence the need of localization is strongly there. And adding to this, I think we typically focus on one or two levers at a time. So to isolate the impact, because if you try to sort of solve all the levers, use all the levers to solve the problems at the same time, you'll not be able to understand the impact of it, right? So we don't use more than 1 to 2 levers at a time and sort of isolate the impact. Another thing I would like to add is that in search ads, keyword and product selection drive most of the results. Right? If you bid on broad keywords like for our particular example, if you bid on broad keywords like ice cream, costs are exorbitantly high and conversions are very low. So we sort of try to prioritize high intent keywords, specific flavors, pack formats, and cross category sort of targeting. And since DSG team and Hari is also on the call, I would like to add that after doing all of this, you also track closely the contribution margin that is left after doing all of these activities, right? So we look at, and even the contribution margins looked at a city X product level. For example, we track our logistics, storage, COGS, marketing spends, promo spends at a SQ and a city level, right? So even the PNL is sort of factored in at a very localized manner. And a lot of what I shared sounds very straightforward in practice, but it requires tracking many moving pieces every day: pricing, visibility, stock positions, and thanks to GobbleCube team, I mean, they have reduced a lot of manual work that I used to do before they came into the picture. And also, as Manas rightly mentioned at the start, quick commerce changes fast. What worked last quarter might not work this quarter, and having the ability to adapt while staying focused on the fundamentals have been an important part of our journey. If you can go to next slide, Sri. So yeah, coming to this as well, I would like to just put all of this into perspective. When you layer platforms, X cities, X SKUs, X keywords, X time slots, you end up managing tens of thousands of micro campaigns at any given point in time. And that's why we have been working very closely with GobbleCube now to build an automation capabilities that can track all the moving parts, recommend adjustments, and help us scale without losing any efficiency there, right? So I think I'm working very closely with the GobbleCube team on that part of thing as well. So what that will essentially help us with is that what might take a few hours of manual inputs and updates will now happen in a few minutes. Right. So on a closing note, I also want to acknowledge that from the start, I think DSG recognized quick commerce as a strategic channel. Their early support helped us prioritize building this capability before it became a crowded space, right? So they connected us with channel partners, peer portfolio companies, which gave us shared learnings and helped us sort of learn faster and take more informed decisions.
Thanks a lot, Utkarsh, and looking forward to learn from you every interaction that we have. How do we evolve this product further to make it more and more
100%,
relevant?
100%. Rooting for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Utkarsh.
So yeah, so as Utkarsh was saying, this is the complexity. So I will just take this opportunity to also like showcase here like how we've been trying to bring down the complexity and what all have we enabled, right? Like of course, like these are the elements which you need to look at. You need to be having like the ability to depart at scale for your assets, not even like when I say scale, it means like to be able to multiple campaigns, multiple categories, right? The other thing is how do you drive efficiency by doing auto bid adjustments, right? This is another in the era where CPMs are just going like are just exploding. This becomes very critical to be able to sharp and drive efficiency here, right? And of course, like what are the strategies you can have? Like how do you look at your budgets versus your availability? Like what should your budgeting be when you compare your availability, competition availability, right? Which are the keywords you need to increase your bids on? Right? Which are the keywords you need to go slightly slower on, right? Of course, like there are other factors like should you, like if you have if you're organically ranking higher, should you be spending money? So there's all of these metrics that you need to look at, right, while you're executing on a daily basis, right? And those are the capabilities we have built out to be able to create these rule sets, right? And of course, apart from rules, as one other thing is as both Utkarsh and Manas were mentioning, things are changing on a daily level. So which are the keywords which probably you are picking up but you haven't really been exposed to, or you haven't had added to your campaign. So which are the ones where there is latent demand setting and you could capture, right? So these are the capabilities and these things we have built out, which Utkarsh was talking about, right? Now I'll take this opportunity to go to the last section of our presentation, which is about account management and team structure, right? This to me is the most underrated section, right? This is what really can also make a difference. The ability to, you can do all the right things, but you need to have relationships to be able to execute at scale, right? And of course, the first question that gets asked is, when should we start building a QCOM team, right? And we think there can be three triggers points, right? One can be, as you said, there's strategic intent, right? I know QCOM is my preferred channel. This is where I need to focus and establish my leadership, right? Or you start seeing that, okay, QCOM has started contributing to 15 to 20% of my sale. There is enough velocity building up. I need to start putting more focus. Or the third is, here, I mean, I'm not able to manage the operations. It's now I need to just add more people. So that's and for each it can be there. Like any of these can be a trigger, right? Or all of these can be a trigger at the same time, right? And here I would like to bring in Smith from GoDesi. And I think the way he's been able to manage relationships with brands is really exemplary. And I would like to hand it over to Smith to teach us all, or like even to educate us, like how did he go about creating the org structure and the account management structure to be able to work better with platforms.
Hey Shri, hi Manas, hi Utkar, hi everyone. This is Smith. I like actually been handling GoDesi for almost like 5 years. Uh, to just to like put like things in perspective and like to be real with you, if we look at quick commerce as a channel, it was never there, right? It has just came, and like quick commerce is one of the, as like even Utkar said, it's like one of the fast-paced, operationally intensive channel where growth depends on agility, alignment, and like faster execution, where we are able to take faster calls, and it comes with data also. And if we want to really succeed and scale faster on quick commerce, one of the key aspect that we generally miss is obviously we need data visibility, availability, and everything. But finding like building that strong multi point of contact connections are really essentials, because that is what like really helps us drives and build the business faster. And we always think, obviously I have a POC and like I can like obviously connect with them on time, and like we can build business. But the moment you will start scaling, because when we onboard on any of the quick commerce and the business is like small, at that times like things are simpler. But the moment you start scaling and the number of cities you expand to, number of categories that you open up more, that is when like a more strategic approach and more different function will play a larger role in like contributing to your growth on the platform, and obviously like you contributing to the growth of the platform and your growth as well. So like when how we started looking at basically connecting with the platform was like we also understood like we were growing, but to grow beyond a certain level, we need to like connect with different point of contact with the respective platform to grow beyond. So what we also like started connecting was like, obviously we started with category T. And most of the brands obviously have the product, but in quick commerce, having the right product for the as per the customer demand makes a lot of difference. And when you start connecting with the category team in terms of understanding the trends that are there, what are the category dynamics, and aligning our product strategy with the emerging consumer demand helps a lot in like a success of the product. And we do take a lot of data from GobbleCube, but we also go back with the platform also to understand and basically verify like are we interpreting the data correctly or not. And also like as per that, like we align our pricing strategy, packaging size, and like the product, everything as well, with respect obviously aligning it with our brand guidelines and everything. If like taking one of the example was like almost like 2.5 years back when we had a product called Meetha Pan, but it was not there on quick commerce, and quick commerce had certain Meetha Pan, which was a short shelf life product. The problem that they were facing was obviously one, in the short shelf life product, the moment it reaches to a certain shelf life, they need to remove it from the platform because they can't sell it. And we had a really good product where we were selling it in a larger pack. But then we basically discussed with the platform, understood what are the price point we can launch it at, and what are the like problems our customers are facing, and understanding on taking those learning and like developing like a product basically in a single serve format in a smaller pack, particularly for the platform, helped a lot for us to like basically gaining a or like creating a new kind of a category for us, and obviously for platform also. I remember like when we launched, there was not in the pan corner, there was no category called pan. And whenever we were going on the platform also, and like there are two types of two way a customer searches. One is browse and another one is search. Obviously, when they were searching for a pan, they were able to see our product. But when they were going and browsing for a product, then also they were only able to find one or two products actually. So that when we connect with the category team, it helps a lot to understand what customer wants, what price point they want it in, around what pack size you should be launching it at, what is something that is trending. Is there something like, for example, is sugar free the next thing? Are people looking for going more on no refined sugar products? So that is like something we can like basically get understanding from the category team. But basically another thing is like in quick commerce, if you want to be like making the sale really well and like every day with like the potential that you are having, you need to have really like high efficient operations connect over there. So you need to make sure if you are having any availability issues, how do you fix them? That we generally like take it from obviously GobbleCube in terms of like acha product has launched, but has it been moved to the front end or not? And in certain cases it sometimes it happens like, and I have been connecting with Shri in terms of like figuring out like in certain location what happens. They platform will try to make sure your products are available across, but there are almost 1,000+ stores with most of the platforms now, and thinking out the complexity that it is going to build, sometimes we need to like go to the platform, and like there are certain stores where the products are going out of stock again and again. So if we have those data and like if we are able to highlight it with the correct location, cities and everything, it helps a lot to the platform also, like where we are going to them and like actually solving the problem rather than always going with the problem. So going with insight sometimes solves the problem faster, and also like connecting with the right team in. So what we have done is like we have divided the most of the platform. What we have done is like we have a category connect, we have someone from operation team where they are helping us with the POs, availabilities issue, purchase order gaps or something. Another thing is like obviously one is creating a product, one is selling, another one is sellout, where marketing helps us to basically figuring out like what is the best way for us to like collaborate with them on solving discovery and visibility, where we are able to create much better campaign with much better output, where it does help when if you have the right POC from a respective platform, because every platform they are having their own way of marketing the product and it is evolving every day. So if you really want to stay up to date, because every other day they have some new property that is coming up, and if you are the early adopter of that, you might get a chance to like explore it at a much like cost effective way, rather than after a point where it becomes really expensive. And also in terms of like finding the senior leadership connect, because it helps you to understand like what is the roadmap that the platform is having with respect to the category that you are dealing in, and how they are also planning to grow the category, and like as a brand, like how do you basically work with them and jointly basically grow together. So that does really help in terms of like closing on the yearly AOP, how many number of stores, because you also can get a lot of understanding in terms of if a platform is planning to grow 3x, you need to also grow at 3x rate or a faster rate. And then you can align a lot of things in the backend in terms of making sure you are having like enough production capacities and a lot of things, because quick commerce is actually growing really fast. So to catch up with that. Also, if with respect to, if we look at like the event that DSGB have been doing in terms of, I remember the first event I was part of was Zepto Rice. It helps a lot, basically putting brands and the platform under the same roof, and basically connect with different level of connect, where like they're able to connect with each other and figure out like where is the scope to grow, what are the opportunities, what are the categories. And I've seen like a lot of categories were not there previously on the platform, but now has started coming because a lot of like brands have connected with the platform, and this events does really help in basically finding like a new opportunity. So it does really help. And as like I always like have like spoke with Shri in terms of, we can always go to the platform and or like to discuss about हमको grow करना है, we want to grow, but going with like enough data and like enough insights and also like cross platform insight does really actually help us grow and help also the platform grow. So having like multi-level POC connect is going to help. It solves a lot of problem. It is like understanding like if as a brand and if I am the POC, I can't manage everything. So even a category manager or like single POC is not going to be able to have that kind of bandwidth to solve everything. We need to have a different level of connect to, and then obviously POCs have always been really helpful, but we need to go to them as and when the escalation is needed, rather than like going for every single small thing, because every week you might be getting like 100 POs from a platform, single platform, and like different cities. And considering certain platform have reached to around 170 cities, uh, it becomes really complex for them also to solve the problem. So it's better to always reach out to different POCs for different problem solutions. And it has helped us a lot, and building that relationship and it just understanding from the lens, this is just the beginning of quick commerce, and building that foundation right now is going to help us a lot in growing faster as a like the D2C brands right now. And yeah, I guess any questions, like happy to answer on any of this.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Smith. It was really fantastic to hear from you. It's always been like we've had deep discussions about this. Fine.
Cool. So, I think with that, we've come to the end of the presentation. I think this is the QR code. We'll share this with everyone at the end of it as well. You can scan this. It'll take you to the website where you can download the entire playbook. Before I hand it over to Pooja, I would also want to thank the unsung heroes who've made this report possible. Urmit has been just like at it. Can't thank you enough for helping us do this and pushing us to do this. But I would also like to thank Drishti and our product design team, Priyanka and Arjun, who've spent so many sleepless nights to kind of get everything in place. So thank you guys for making this happen. Over to you, Pooja.
No, picking up from where you guys left off, I know everybody gets to see a deck that we put together, but there's almost a year's worth of time and effort from you guys that's gone into this. So big thank you to everybody from qcomm, GobbleCube, folks on this call who've presented and those who've not presented. You know who you are. So thank you so much for doing that. And also picking up from where Smith left off, he spoke a little bit about account management specific to a brand. Just in our approach, we've always talked about being founder first. What we've not talked about enough is also being platform first. In all of our engagements with platforms, be it ecom, qcom, one of the starting points for everybody has always been my brand needs to scale on the platform. If you just take the other lens of what is the platform's priority, how are they thinking about things, and therefore how should I think about scaling on this particular leg? I think that lens is actually very, very critical to take very early on. And brands who've tried and done it earlier in their journey have actually seen, alongside, of course, maintaining strong relationships across POC ladders, be it qcomm leadership, be it your category teams, be it your ad teams, um, focused very heavily on a data-driven approach to get there. So I think I mean, number one, two, and three is this is a very relationship forward game. And we've always believed in the fact that if you pay it forward, it will come back to you. So invest in the platform. Don't expect the platform to invest in you without doing that. That's one. The second part to this, which is linked, which also Smith talked about a little, was over the last 12 months, I think we've been in war rooms with all of the qcomm platforms, and they've very graciously opened doors to tell us how they are thinking about what the next couple of months look like. It was a mind shift for us because when we've talked about the future, we've always said 1 year forward. This was the first time we heard saying next quarter dekh lete hain. Uske baad we will come back with what next 2 quarters look like. And it's given us a sense on a very refreshing sense, if I may, on how people think about the platform, right? And if you talk to category teams internally, they'll also tell you for this particular category that you're building out on, market size has never come up as a question mark. Ecom has always seen that, where they said this is sized at something. Quick-Com has said bana lenge. And that to us has been incredibly refreshing as consumer investors. Once again, I think two, three call outs for people, right? One is these platforms are very open-minded about sharing what white spaces exist because they are not looking at you as sellers, they are looking at you as brands. They want people to look for you as well. So you are effectively on the same side. And therefore, they'll give you input on new product development. So while we talk about 10-minute convenience for product delivery, we're also talking about your new product development angle, your ability to utilize the data, and your ability to do demand planning. All of those three things are all exponentially faster than before. And this is not even a day's time that you can take, right? We've seen examples of incumbents being displaced, and I do think when you guys get a chance to see the playbook, you'll see we actually have call outs and examples where just because someone wasn't available when somebody was looking for it, you got that one in, and then just because people liked your product, they'll keep buying. Availability seriously matters. You guys need to go after that. We are trying everything in our power to make sure everybody is above 97 if we can. Um, and I think what we've learned mostly in the last 12 months is the more you exchange learnings with each other, because each category cannot be looked at in a silo. There are learnings that a Go Zero has got from a Go Desi, has got from a family, and so on and so forth. Talk more to founders and their teams. Don't keep it in silos saying, I operate in a particular category and therefore I must just stick to only that. So as a fund, that is something that we have focused on overall. Would encourage you guys to please give us feedback on everything that we've put together over here. It is a labor of love almost at this stage. So once again, big thank you to everybody. I think we have a bunch of questions in the Q&A tab. We'll hand it over to Urmit to take those.
Hi, so we have first question from Kiran. I think actually two questions. Do we have a city-wise list of high density pin codes? And the case where Pankaj was mentioning about the SKUs, were they showing out of stock on the app and available at the backend at warehouse? If Shri can just take this question up, if
So yes, yeah. Hi Kiran. Kiran, yeah, that was the case. So basically, they had almost, if I remember, 90 days of inventory in the backend, but that it was not being shifted to the front end. There was an MRP issue because of which that was not happening. And when they spotted this gap, they pointed out to the platform, they were able to quickly fix it because it was a high selling SKU as well in this thing. Yeah.
next question is around GobbleCube's subscription pricing and is it friendly for the early stage brands? So again, I'll let you take that one up as well.
Yeah, so I think we've tried to keep it very, very simple because I think one of the challenges that we've seen in the ecosystem is a lot of conversations between service providers and brands is around how many SKUs you want to cover, how many pin codes you want to cover. And we feel that's a moot question because if I have 1,500 different touch points of my shopper experience, I should be covering each and every one of them. So we've kept a very simple pricing based on platform level, not linked to the number of dark stores or anything like that. It's a complete coverage. Of course, the the details that you want to get into depends on the stage of evolution for you as a brand, right? If you're a brand kind of starting out, you might only want to look at just fixing the basics like availability, right? But if you're a much more evolved brand, then you would want to look at category shares and how you're kind of like pitting against competitions. And we've kind of created tiers for that, which makes it easy for brands to kind of come on, drive growth, and kind of succeed from there.
I think the next question is very interesting, and it's basically asking how does qcomm prioritize the organic listings or organic rankings for the listings? Is it basis revenue per impressions or is it basis the conversion rate
It's
similar
primarily
to
conversion.
what?
So they have a lot of machine learning algorithms. We know that because like a lot of those folks who are building that out were part of the teams that we were working with prior. So we keep hanging out for a cup of coffee. Can't say beer because both of us are teetotalers now. But yeah, a lot of that is actually conversion based. In fact, one of the very important learnings that we had when we were talking is that if you're trying to, let's say, for example, if you're trying to, as a brand, drive discovery and you're running ads on very relevant keywords, right? Which leads to very low conversions, then it actually penalizes your organic ranking rather than the other way around. So it's something which is very important to be cognizant of.
So then what are the key takeaways, Manas, if someone wants to boost up their organic ranking?
Yeah.
If we were just to give out 2 pointers, what would they be?
I think boosting organic rankings is as Utkarsh was talking about, and I think he's the master over there. We are kind of just learning from him. But it's about being very specific about the keywords which create relevant impressions for you, because it's not. See, if you have to run just that, just kind of like awareness, right? Then going for a display might be more relevant than going for search. But if you go for very high impression keywords with very low relevance to your category, it might hurt you in the long run. That was our learning.
Perfect. I think the next question is there any feature that GC might launch to help track budget spends in different hour of the day?
Yes. So of course, I think part of our performance, the ad automation tool, like I think there's also a question of whether we'll help create campaigns and manage. So all of that is part of our tool plan. So campaigns will be created, they can be day parted. So we'll be able to get all this information as to how so the idea is to break the campaigns into structure which is at a keyword, SKU, city, cross time of the day level. And then once you break it down, you get data at that granularity, which can then be uh, which you can use to figure out what's the budget that you spent at a particular campaign with a particular period of time. And then
So there's a very interesting question from Dhruv as well. What's the golden ratio between search ads and the merch ads? How do you discount on qcomm vis-a-vis ecom? And are you able to attain some sort of waivers or ad spends support? I think there are 3 different questions, but all of them are like super relevant from the marketing ads point of view.
Uh, I think the search and merch is a question which is it's a question of the brand's evolution, right? And I'm not even talking about a brand's evolution. It's also the product category's evolution, right? So if you're launching a new category, if let's say for example you're a BPC brand who's kind of was operating in the standard kind of creams and lotion segment, and you're getting into say serums, then the serum needs to be over-indexed on the merch side. Something which we kind of also see for BPC brands going first on Nykaa rather than some of the other platforms because it's more merge based. And then as that gradual cadence and as that organic ranking starts going up, then you start playing more on the search side. I think that's the general playbook that we've seen brands work with. But again, I would love to kind of like hand it over to Utkarsh over here if he has any specific point of views over here.
I think I agree to what Manas said. I mean, it essentially depends on where your brand stand in the category as well, right? So there's no one size fit answer for all, but a general framework that we can use is that we can divide brands into three life cycles. Essentially, at which stage they are at. If they are just launched, then I will essentially recommend putting 100% of the budget on search ads, because you don't have any base, right? So you need to build some revenue or build some velocity for getting noticed, right? If you're scaling up, then you can probably shift some budget, like 15-20% of your budget to visibility. This is where you take some share in the category. Start with maybe very specific banners like category banners or targeted homepage banners. This reach generally people that are already exploring your type of product. And if you're the category leader, then your job is not to just win the share, but it's grow to category. It's to grow the category itself, right? So in that case, I would essentially recommend follow the user behavior. If 60% is coming through search and 40% through browse, then reflect that in the spends as well. Unless one is clearly more efficient. So yeah, I think that is how I'd like to see it.
And Utkarsh, any pointers on the waivers or ad spend support? Any point? So how would you approach this in a particular framework, if you have any pointers on this?
Sorry, didn't get the question. Can you?
So Dhruv has asked, are you able to attain CODB waivers or discount or ad spend support? Any framework around this? How do you have a conversation with the account manager? Or like, is there any framework around ad spend support, or is this ad hoc basis the category outlook?
I think Smith would be the right person because you talk about account management, right? So a lot of it boils down to relationship that you have. A lot of it boils down to how can you make the platform understand your vision as well. Like you can tell them, okay, I want to
Correct.
become a 100 crore brand on your platform. For that, we'll go at any lengths, and for that, we'll need your support as well, and sort of close a mutual GVP discussion, and then align all of those things together. So I think that helps a lot in getting some sort of support from the platforms. Right, for us now, we have built such great relationships with platforms like Blinkit and Instamart that wherever you see any campaign happening related to ice creams, we don't have to push them. They make sure that we are pushed because the vision and the goals are aligned.
And there's one more question specifically for you, Utkarsh. If a product is working in one city and not working in another city, what should be the marketing strategy for a brand in such a scenario? Provided we are on par with the competition pricing, product availability is on the higher side, how should you take a look at it?
I think the fundamental is to understand if that city has any scope or any sort of demand for that particular category, right? Since you have limited budget, I would recommend not to spread too thin. If something fundamentally doesn't have any scope in a particular city, then I think like you are rather better parking your budgets on another city where there's more scope. But at a parallelly, what you can do is you can sort of try running some pilots around doing some small awareness activities to see if your brand is getting any recall uplift or not, or changing some strategies in terms of like doing more visibility instead of doing search to drive some awareness. But even if that doesn't help, then I think it's better off that you either discuss with the platform on how do we build this category in a particular city, because you will have a lot of insights of your own as well. And if that is not happening, then maybe focus your money where there's growth potential.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Smith, a couple of questions for you. What should be a brand perspective if a platform recommends product which aligns with the product line, but not with the brand ideology that your brand stands for? Should a brand start pivoting and start creating products or stick to the ideology? This is more of a fundamental question. Both I think Pooja and Smith can take a shot at this, given this is more from a product point of view.
So I guess like if your brand doesn't align with a particular like product, then you should not, because we have got a lot of opportunities in the past. Like there is an opportunity for this particular product, go for it. But sometimes obviously that will be a short-term call as per me. We should always, because you are building a brand, if you are there for like trading or business, then it's fine, but not when you're trying to build a brand. So my suggestion would be like you should stick to the brand that you're trying to build, and you will get enough opportunities. You can like always find something which goes with your brand. So identifying right opportunities will always be there, but not to all opportunities. We'll not never say yes to all opportunities. We'll obviously refine the opportunity and figure out which is the right opportunity and how do we like start building big on it.
No, completely agree with what Smith said.
Wait, I'll just unmute Pooja. You can. Fair. Any nuances, Pooja, from yours? And when should a brand follow what the category manager is suggesting? Because even they are looking even they are looking to build categories and the availability for couple of like for the products, right? So
No,
how should
it's-
you look at this problem statement? At where should you draw the line?
I think honestly, this is not the first time that it's happened. We've seen this happen even with some e-com platforms in the past, and we've drawn guardrails saying what will the brand never do, and honestly stuck to those. So if it feels just super opportunistic, not making as much sense, we would recommend dropping the idea. Where we've seen it play out to be wonders actually is different, not just new product development, collabs, right? Where there are some folks in the portfolio also who run collabs. Take it to be Go Zero with players in their fraternity, right? Very, very interesting situations to be in.
Perfect. Thank you. Smith, one more question. This is the structure to follow with the channel partners. What do you feel is the way to look at it as a brand team structure? How should the brand team look at the qcomm? I mean,
Can you
given
come
that
again? Like not didn't understand.
given that this particular brand might not have a qcomm specific team, how can a brand get qcomm as a channel if they don't have a specific team for the qcomm?
I guess even if you have like anyone who is managing Amazon or something, that everyone like most of us would have started with Amazon or Flipkart or something. If they know the basics of e-commerce, it is easier to understand. But like when it comes to product creations and like understanding like because when it comes to like e-commerce, it's generally it's like it's not going to be as fast as like managing campaigns or making sure the products are available because in terms of e-commerce generally if your product is available in one of the FCs also of Amazon it will be available across here the like uh if to simplify it like if someone can use like basically like platform like GobbleCube to like making sure like the product is available, the product is visible and like it is getting replenished like as soon as possible, they will be able to make it, but eventually they will need like because it's a fast paced channel which is growing really fast. I would suggest you should have a resource like for like focusing on this channel. Otherwise, if we are thinking like I guess like when we were having this session also with Urmit, one question was like when do you hire a team? Okay, it's like you need like first of all you need at least one person to manage it. I would suggest there is no right answer like kitne log hone chahiye, how many. Now we also have like one person who is basically managing sell-in, one person who is managing sell-out, another one who is making sure operations are correct. But obviously we also started with one, but you will need a person. I guess it's better to invest. It's a long-term investment. It will eventually pay out really well.
Correct. It's a chicken and egg situation. If you know the market exists and the category sizing exists, then take a shot at the target market.
Yes,
Build a team.
you should have a person. Even if you don't have, I guess like hire one because you are just delaying the success that you will have, or you will miss the opportunity in the long term.
No, very helpful, Smith. Shri, Manas, there's one question. So someone has tried sharing GobbleCube's data with the QComs to fix the dark store availability, but
Yeah.
they outrightly rejected GC's data and instead asked us to refer to only portal data. How do we fix this? I think we have tried answering this in the playbook as well, but I think will be helpful for the folks to understand this.
Yeah, see, I think this is a combination of what data helps you and what Smith was talking about, which is relationships, right? So a lot of this starts with are you starting from a place of trust or is this just a transactional relationship where I'm trying to sell you something, right? I think one of the things that we do emphasize over here is the fact that don't highlight every problem, right? When you think about like a typical platform sending about 5,000 to 10,000 SKUs to 1,000 odd dark stores, there are way too many permutations and combinations, and some of them will fail, right? So don't highlight transient issues, highlight structural issues, right? Something which has been out of stock for, let's say, continuously for, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks, right? The second is just like in coding, you would always give these proof points, right, of where the problem is. And that's why, like, one of the things that we do highlight uh, is like exactly pinpointing a locality where you're saying, I am not available, right? And it is important because, like Shri was talking about earlier, a single pin code or a single, like, let's say an area like a golf course road can have 8 dark stores, right? You can pick dark store 1 and somebody else can pick dark store 5, and they for him it might be there and for you it might not be there. So what we've done is created capabilities where you can kind of pinpoint the exact lat longs where it is not there, establish that trust and take the conversation from there. I think that's the most important way. Of course, there's no magic wand to that, right? Ultimately, a lot of that is about building that trust and relationship.
And Manas, there was one more question. Would you be able to help us understand how GC data gets collected or how authentic is it? Because there was one question that I read in the list. So wanted to understand the working of the GC so that folks can understand that part as well.
So at GC, what we try to do is we kind of create a combination of all the data that is shared with you by the platform, because of course that is the source of truth, right? And you kind of can trust it 100%. And even if you take it back to the platform, they will trust it. But wherever the gaps are, because as like a brand, yeah, as a brand, when you're solving that problem, right, you also need to piece a lot of other parts of the puzzle together, right? What is my competition doing, right? If I don't have that information, how do I get that information? If I have, let's say, a city level view, how do I break it down into a locality level view? Where we do use crawlers to kind of look at what is the kind of shopper experience at different lat longs and kind of marry it all together to give you these answers.
No, very helpful. And one last question on the GC. How soon should a brand start using a tool like GC? Is there a certain monthly revenue barrier that you guys recommend?
Yes, so I think like I got an answer from multiple founders, and this was just heartwarming for us also, where they're like, okay, we need to be at a certain scale to afford GC, but we need GC to get to that certain scale. And that kind of very aptly summed it up. And that's why, like, what we've tried to create is these tiers, right? So when you're an early stage brand, there are only certain variables that you're trying to look at. So how can we enable those variables for you without kind of burning a hole through your pocket? Of course, we do growth partnerships as well, where we kind of do a kind of segregated pricing model for the first quarter or something. But again, those are things that we can discuss. The idea for us is very, very simple, right? For us, it's all about being the growth partners that help brands succeed. And offering the right product at the right point of the relationship, right? We engage with multiple brands, and I think I saw one of those questions over there, right? Even like when you are looking to figure out what are the categories that you should be listing, right? That's a white space analysis that you want to do. You want to understand what are the categories which are kind of not even categories, right? Let me rephrase. What are the micro categories that are actually showing strong growth momentum? How can we identify that and build a more potent GTM strategy, right? I think that's a question that is kind of like pre-listing to a lot of questions. When you list, I think the first primary question that you're trying to answer is ensuring availability, right? The first section of our report, ensuring the right set of availabilities, even once you've kind of supplied to the warehouse, because if it's kind of sitting in the warehouse, something which Pankaj pointed out, it's not going to help you, right? As a brand, you're just kind of like wondering why this is not taking off. So I think those are all questions that need to be answered. Of course, when you're a brand which is commanding 25-30% category share plus, right? You have a lot more nuances, and that's where we'll support you as well.
Perfect. So Pooja, there's a question for you. So I see a lot of folks asking what is required for a brand to get listed on qcomm? And the follow-up question is, how do you prioritize between ecom and qcomm if you have to prioritize? So for a brand to prioritize QCOM, like how would you approach this particular question?
I think it depends on what your stage of business is, right? So if you have limited resources, where are you seeing maximum tailwinds? How close are you to the category team? Again, going back to relationship. If there is a relationship, over-index on that relationship because it will make things work faster and better. If there isn't one, which is very common in your early stages, then figure where you're getting momentum through the ads that you're running. If you're not spending at all on QCOM, visibility will become a challenge at some point because everyone is spending some amount in some fashion. How you allocate marketing spends is very critical. But uh, I think what we've seen more recently, and you should actually chime in, is with a lot of portfolio companies, we've seen them try and do a little bit of e-com first to understand how the brand acceptance works. Most people are running ads on Meta. They understand what e-com looks like, and then graduate into QCOM where they understand demand planning a little bit better. Then you're only dealing with the demand planning challenge in addition to your meta ads. So if you have, let's say, 100 units, I would prioritize website and maybe one more channel. Because we say QCOM, but it's really 3, 4, 5 platforms, right? It's not one channel. So just be mindful of that.
Correct. I mean, if I have to put out a point, right, I think at a very fundamental level, I would start with the e-com unless and until the product really fits the QCOM as a channel, right? If there's a proper product market fit, then I would probably start off with the QCOM. And otherwise, I would start with the e-com to figure out what is the consumer behavior? Is there a channel market fit? Is there a product market fit in terms of getting the feedback, etc.? And then QCOM for me becomes a more or less a distribution game. Can I reach to the consumer even faster or at more length? So would approach it that way. And again, differs by category to category. Shri, Manas, one question for you. Can GC help for early stage ideation? This is like probably before even before having a product.
Yeah,
Essentially a data-driven and hypothesis-driven approach for starting up.
absolutely. I think that was the white space, Urmit, that I was alluding to. See, at the end of the day, as a brand, you need to have a very sharp idea. See, you can build and put all your blood, sweat, and tears into building something, but the first question you need to answer is the size of the price worth it, right? What are the categories that are the sunrise categories? How is the shopper behavior shaping up? So I think that's something which we do with a lot of brands, and it's not just brands who are in ideation stage. It is also established brands. I think this is one of the first things that Smith kind of probed us, and we work very, very closely with Smith to kind of build out the white space analysis around Indian sweets. So yeah, definitely something which is very exciting. We also love doing this and learn something.
When marrying crawl data with the data shared by the platform, what steps are taken to ensure sampling bias is minimized? Again, a question for you.
We've put like let me put it very simply, right? Like the founding team at GobbleCube are the guys who used to lead analytics, data science, and data engineering at Blinkit. So I think we've kind of got that covered from the engineering point of view.
Perfect. I think we are so let me take up this as the last question, and then for a brand which is trying to create category of sorts, what factors should they consider before choosing the platform? I think again, this is a question for both Manashri and Pooja as well, because this is more of category creation on QCOM. Manas, over to you, Manashri.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I was just trying to find.
How should someone approach category creation on quick commerce? So we have heard about category creation on D2C and e-com, but
Yeah.
there's something like this that can be done on quick commerce as well.
Of course, I think this is very kind of in line with the answer that Utkarsh was giving to the question that Dhruv had put out, right? That ultimately, when you're thinking about category creation, you need to obviously over-index in terms of the awareness, right? About the fact that that category actually exists on that particular platform. But that is a relatively kind of like a more high effort, right? It can be done through displays, but that's expensive. It can be done through related keywords, right? Where you're kind of creating that curiosity and awareness amongst the user that it is there. But of course, slightly more tricky than just going about actually kind of like dipping into the categories which are already taking off. I think that has been our learning. Shri, if you have anything to
No,
add over there.
100% agree. Like, and like what quick commerce also done is like you'll be surprised at the kind of categories that have exploded on quick commerce. Right. So I
I
think
think
Can you help us couple of
the one which
can you help us
fascinates
understand a
us
couple?
the most is puja needs,
yeah.
right? And like I think when we were a part of Blinkit, puja needs meant Mangaldeep Agarbatti. I think now it means a lot more things beyond that, and the kind of scale the brands have reached in that is just mind-boggling.
Pooja, any
I
take?
think pet care is another category where like back in the early 20s, it was just pet care as a category, and now it's like dog food, cat food, dog care, pet care, dog toys,
treats,
dog treats, cat treats. So it's like these categories which are just ever expanding, and I think it's about like there's huge opportunities that are kind of opening up.
No, I think super true. Someone just called out plants, and I can think of Ugao because I think this is what we have seen with Ugao growth as well. Any
Yeah.
take on this
Yes,
Pooja?
if Saurabh there, I think he can contribute to that if he's part of the call. And I think it's a fascinating story he also has. Yeah. Or how to build a category. I think, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
If Saurabh there on the call.
Saurabh, no, Saurabh is not there on the call, but folks would recommend reaching out to Saurabh Samir from Ugao if you want to understand category.
The call.
Is there?
He messaged.
Wait, let me just unmute him. Yeah, Saurabh, can you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. So
Yeah.
yes.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Puja Nets is one example that Manas gave, and we keep hearing from the qcomm partners as well. Like this is a category that they are building aggressively. But when it comes to, let's say, plants, for sure, I'll give you an example of Blinkit. They have been focusing aggressively on this category, and they believe that this can be much bigger than flower and bouquet, and they are almost on 100 crore ARR for this category GMV level. So we work very closely with them, like with Sri also we communicate quite often, and all these insights of availability and the visibility, the both part we take very seriously. We go to them, talk to them and tell them, yeah, we are not available in certain part of dark stores where competition is available, but I am not available. And this we keep chasing until they go into and fix it manually so that we get the visibility, we get the availability sorted, and we see the run rate improving over those dark stores. Second, we take the visibility or SOV data where like for example in pan India we have a market share of 50% or 40%, and if a certain city is lower than pan India, and then we will technically take that city and go quite aggressive on marketing to build our market share in such categories, and we see whether the pricing is the lever, or running ads at certain hours on certain keywords on certain products. We look at, like for example, if a competition is at a lower price over there, we will push our lower price product. If competition is at a higher price, then we will also push higher price product over there to grab the market share. And we see yeah, like in the evening, by the evening certain brands will go out of stock or they go out of budget, and we ensure that by the evening we are running ads to get the market share also. And sometimes also, if there is no one else, we just stop the ads to save on the marketing budget. If there is no one available, why to even spend the money?
No, super helpful. So with this, let us take the questions offline. We have taken a note of the questions. Any last words, Pooja, Manas, Shri, from your end?
Well, I think just thanks for the opportunity and thanks for everyone to take the time out. I know everyone is super busy, but taking the time out, asking these wonderful questions, just gives us that extra bit of energy that all the sleepless nights that we have spent were worth it. I think, again, reiterating the same fact, it is an evolving organism. There is nothing static about quick commerce. And I think the beauty of that is that while Amazon was something which was conceptualized back in the US, and kind of expanded into India, that is not how an India market operates, right? I think the fundamental, like, and this is something which we always talked about back at our days in Blinkit as well, right? That India is that unique country which kind of bypassed a lot of these things, right? India bypassed the modern trade revolution, right? India went from Kirana to quick commerce or e-commerce, right? India bypassed the landline revolution, so it went straight to mobile, right? So I think the beauty of India is that it skips a lot of these things and it kind of creates these new things which take over the world. I think quick commerce is something which will take over the world. We do see 5 years down the line, that's how people will expect commerce to happen. And the sooner the brands capitalize on that, it creates these extra normal returns. So I think with that thought, I'll hand it over to Shri and Pooja.
And nothing much to add other than that. This is going to be probably like next. Maybe it has already been so exciting and so evolving, and it's only going to get even more exciting and evolving from here. So yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this journey right now.
No, absolutely. I think completely echo what Manas and Shri said. The only request to everybody on this call would be please do give us feedback once you guys go over the playbook. And we look forward to being able to work with you guys in both capacities as DSGCP and GobbleCube.
Definitely.
Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for attending the event. Super excited to put out the playbook to you guys. And yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.